Hello, greetings everyone. Welcome to CACS IS. I am Pratyush Satapathy. I have recently secured rank 63 in OPSC OCS examination 2023. I have come here to share my strategy on public administration optional. So I have taken coaching under Deepak sir for my public administration in the second attempt. In my first attempt, I have prepared on my own. In my first attempt, I had secured 280 marks in PubAd optional. In paper 2, I have secured, in the second attempt, I have secured 305 marks. So what I'll do is I'll take you to through this journey of public administration optional from the first, if you are thinking of how to choose an optional to how to tackle this optional. So when it comes to public administration as an optional, it's a short, concise application. It has a scientific approach to it. The syllabus has an overlap with GS2 and GS4. So that can help you better strategize your revision plans. But one thing is important, that one should not think that GS2 and GS4 is totally having an overlap with PubAd and you can skip one of these or that. So you have to balance it, but somehow it can supplement your preparation. So keeping that, what I'll do is, let's say you are going for public administration. So there are two approaches. Either you go for the coaching one or the self-preparation. For the coaching one, I have already told that you can take Ansari sir's note if you're going for UPSC, or for OPSC, what you can do is you can take Pawan sir's note and Deepak sir's classes. So that can. Now coming to the self-preparation part, so we have a limited time. So it is important that you strategize how to do, because the ultimate goal is to crack the examination. So what I'll say is that basically when you come to self-preparation, so you need to have two things. First is the long approach. The second is short, quicker approach. So in the long run approach, what you can do is you can go for all these standard books. Let it be Prasad and Prasad, let it be Arora and Goyal, or Mohit Bhattacharya. So these are all books you can go on. So, but that's for the long run if you have a year's time to do. But if it is a short preparation, let's say the current, for the 3 months that you have, I am assuming you have completed most of it, or you are starting fresh and you have just 3 months. For that, what I'll do is, I'll suggest you a quick plan to it. First is Pawan sir's note, handwritten, that's available as PDF, or you can get a Xerox in the market. Second is for Odisha specific, what you can do is you can get one BK publication book of Deepak sir. So it's a concise note kind of thing that you can use. So these two can help you. Now, also if you want to, what you can do is you can supplement with IGNOU material, but that is for the last. That is for the last. So you have done this, you have done this. So priority wise, I'll say that go for this one. That is concise, complete it, supplement with this one. And if you still have time, go for this one. So that will be the basic strategy. Okay. Now let's see how to read public administration. So there are, I'll break this session. I'll break this session into 2-3 parts for easier understanding. So first is how to read PubAd. Second is how to write answers. And also we can do some thumb rules and detailed plan for this. Okay, so how to read PubAd. So when it comes to reading PubAd, what I'll say is that have your syllabus handy. So in PubAd, there is paper 1, paper 2, keep the syllabus with you. Remember every bit of it. Because what happens is, when it comes to PubAd, you need to know few words and you should be able to make a mental map immediately. We'll be moving to that. Now the second part is, once you are totally aware with this syllabus, second part is interlinking, which I was talking about the mind map. Now see, interlinking can be done in 2 ways, horizontal and vertical. Okay. So horizontal is linking within the paper. I'll start with paper 1 of PubAd. So linking within paper 1. Vertical would be linking, cross linking paper 1 and paper 2. You will be linking paper 1 and paper 2. So let's say how to do that horizontal linking. Let's start with the horizontal linking. I'll give you one specific example. Let's say we are talking about communication. When it comes to communication, so what first we will do is the horizontal linking. Second is the vertical one. So when it comes to horizontal linking, what I mean by horizontal linkage is whenever I say communication, in your mind, few names should pop up already. For example, Keith Davis, right? He talked about grapevine communication, right? You should know about Bernard, humanistic approach. Humanistic approach, where we are talking about informal communication. What I say about vertical, what you can do is communication can be extrapolated to coordination, right? So if you have good communication within the organization, there will be better coordination. Now that coordination can be linked to paper 2, right? Paper 2 as in conflict resolution, right? Conflict resolution. When we are talking about conflict resolution, I can link it to JCM, right? So see, a single word communication has so much of dimensions to it. So it is important that you are able to do this horizontal linking and the vertical linking when it comes to key terms. Similarly, we can go for different aspects of syllabus. Let's say when we are talking about scientific management. So scientific management by Taylor shouldn't just stop there. When we are talking about scientific management, you should be able to think of absolute rationality. When you talk about absolute rationality, you can talk about management approach. Management approach. Management change approach by Kotler, right? So see, the idea is whenever you are seeing a word, it shouldn't stop there. Whenever I say, let's say Taylor, you should also in your mind the word should pop as neo-Taylorism. That is Taylorism plus a little humanistic approach. Similarly, we can link it to the Taylor can be linked to paper 2 when we are talking about labor laws. Right, let's say tomorrow in paper 2, some questions come about the recruitment or the employees welfare, the employers welfare, the employees welfare activities. That's how you can bring Taylor, new Taylorism, labor laws. So that is important that you are able to link. Now the third thing is clarity in concept, right? Okay. So let's say when I say clarity in concept, what I mean is that in PubAd there are few key terms, right? I'll just write random key terms and I'll show how clarity in concept can help you link all of these. NRP, NPA, NPM, PCA, new Taylorism, new Taylorism, And what we can do is, let's say NPSA, right? So these are important terms when it comes to public administration. Now let's see, it might look like these are different units and you are supposed to read these are different units. Now what happens is, when you are consolidating it as different units and in the final time you are revising it, it will be difficult. So it is important that you understand how they are linked. So what I'll do is, I'll link it. Let's say NRP. NRP is New Rights Philosophy. Now it can be linked as NRP has two parts, right? NPA and NPM. NPM is the value-based approach. NPM is the value-based approach. It is welfare-centric, right? Now NPM is the managerial approach. We are talking about targets, we are talking about objectives, right? NRP can also be said that, what you can do is, the NPM can be broken as neo-Taylorism and PCA. PCA is public choice approach, right? 4D. I'll ask you to put all the 4Ds related to PCA in the comment box. Let's see if we can get it or not. Neo-Taylorism, we have already discussed. See, all these words which were important elements and as a unit different chapters perhaps, now they are all linked together. Now where the NPSA comes in? NPSA by Den Hart is totally a new approach where we are saying that we are trying to balance NPA plus NPM. We both know NPA and NPM has their own set of demerits and merits. So what we did was, we did NPSA, where we're having both of it. Now let's say when we are talking about answer writing, right? Let's move on to the another dimension, that is the answer writing. That is the cream of all the efforts that we are putting, because the main selection will finally give you the rank and the selection. So let's come to the answer writing, right? We have understood how understanding syllabus is important, interlinking syllabus is important, having clarity in concept is important. Now let's move on to answer writing. Now in answer writing, what I will do is, there are few thumb rules. Then there is value addition. Thumb rules might help you get selection. Value addition will further increase the probability of getting the selection, and most importantly, it will add that extra oomph to your answer so that you get the rank. So thumb rule is, first of all, when you are writing any answer, right? Any answer, it should have intro, it should have body, it should have conclusion. In intro part, there should be mention of thinkers. Body is definitely content, drafting according to the need of the question. The conclusion. Conclusion is where you can show your creativity. You can write a balanced answer, balanced conclusion. Or what you can do is, you can write present relevance to it. Or you can also give case studies. But case study shouldn't be like you are opening an answer. The case study, the added should be a closure of the answer. But again, after case studies, you have to add 1 or 2 line of concluding statement. It shouldn't be that case studies and suddenly the answer abruptly ends. Okay. So this is the thumb rule. Now when it comes to value addition, and also you can write ARC reports. Right. In paper 2, definitely. In paper 1 as well, I'll recommend that in paper 1 as well, few times, in few places, you can throw 1 or 2 ARC reports. Okay. Now let's come to the value addition. Value addition is the place where your newspaper reading habit, your ability to link topics in the current affair or in the contemporary news is important. Let's say we are talking about IT, right? We know Gulick has suggested it. We can link Simon, who said that we can use IT to make difficult decisions simple, programmable, non-programmable decisions to programmable decisions, right? Now, when I'm talking about that present relevance, if we just write that e-governance, if you are writing in IT answer e-governance as your example, trust me, if you have the potential that in this question you would be getting 10 marks, if you are writing just e-governance, you are limiting it to maybe 8 or maybe 7. But if instead of e-governance we write Meri Panchayat app, right? If we write Gati Sakti, if we write Umang, if we write Covin, the Covin app where we register for the COVID vaccination. So that is how we can fetch that extra mark. Because writing present relevance is not only writing standard classical examples that you know, but you are supposed to write something new and interesting, right? Acha. Now let's do one more thing. ARC reports, right? Yeah. So ARC reports, I have been mentioning it, and it's important as well, right? So there are few ARC reports that those are like considered as magical numbers, है ना? 1, 3, 11. This is the least you can do. You can further go, but this is the least you can go. You can also add 6 as well, because you will be reading it somewhere. So 1 is RTI, 3 is disaster management, 11 is e-governance, 6 is local governance. See, what you have to do is, if you just go on randomly memorizing, it wouldn't help. Start remembering, there are like 4 or 5 key ARC reports. At least you should remember them. You should start remembering from these numbers. Further on, you can move on. But at least you should know these. What you can do is, by knowing this, you can write in disaster management. Let's say tomorrow a question in paper 2 comes about chief secretary, right? Chief secretary. Right? What you will write? Admin head. Done. Residual legatee. Done. Moral conscience keeper in the state. Done. Cabinet meeting secretary, right? All the cabinet meetings, all the notes and everything maintained by this honorable chief secretary. But what's important is, these things everyone would write. Just imagine if I write that he is also responsible for disaster management. Yes. This is what will catch the attention of the evaluator. That yes, he knows, right? Okay. Now let's do last one thing. I'll solve one question. Now this year 2023 OCS paper. In paper 1, there was one question, scope of PubAd. Right? It was the first question. So let's say whatever we have read, how we can use all of these strategies to finally draft the answer. So when it comes to scope of public admin, let's say it would have been something complex, like in the paper, what it asked was the complexities, how it has evolved, how it has evolved or bad. So you need to see through the question, right? All these jargons and framing of the question is meant to which part of the syllabus. You can see that I can simply boil down that the examiner is asking me scope of public administration, right? If it would have been complex, then definitely apart from scope of public administration, there had been some other dimension. But you need to understand from the crux, the soul of the question. So that is the scope of public administration. Hai na? So that is first thing. I talked about syllabus. Let's come to interlinking. Hai na? In interlinking, what we can do is, there is basic, right? We can write Waldo, we can write post-Cobb, and 10 neutral principles, right? We can write all these things. You also need to add some other thinkers as well, hai? Stephen K. Bailey, right? Who talked that the scope goes about instrumental, which actually was given by Max Weber. You need not write this, I just told you how we can interlink, right? So interlinking, this post-Cobb, these are important. But what is important is you write some other thinkers as well, not the very common. If in all your answers you are just limited to Taylor, Fayol, and Gulick, right? This will not add that magic to your answer. Hai na? You need to write few more thinkers, right? Let's say in NPA, right? You write Negro, hai na? Fredrickson, Frank Marini, right? So if we only when we heard NPA, if we had only limited to Minobrook 1 conference and Waldo, no, it doesn't make your answer magical and doesn't add value to your answer. You need to add these thinkers. Okay, so interlinking is done. Then there's this intro part when I talked about that you need to have some more thinkers as well. Now let's move on to the second part of this question, how to further build the answer. It is also talking about complexities, right? In complexities, what we can write? It is government in action, right? Even though it has many functions, but still it is limited by government in action. Now, where government has action? Government has action in NPA. Government has action in GGP, good governance paradigm. You can also write in complexity how IT has evolved, how public participation has evolved, how private participation has evolved. See, so earlier the role of state was only to regulate. But post 1991, the role has evolved to become as a facilitator as well. So as it becomes facilitator, the role changes. Earlier there were only national banks. Now we have private banks regulated by RBI. Getting it? So this, see, a simple scope which we only thought that Waldo or Post-Cobb or maybe Fayol, these were the limitation. These were the limitation of our thinking. But how we have extended to link all of this. So this is important. Now one last thing that I'll suggest is case study, and most importantly the value additions jargons, or let's say statements. See, whenever you are reading any subject, you see there are few key terms or a language of a subject. Let's say when we talk about history, we talk about contemporary, we use word contemporary. When we talk about GS3, let's say internal security, we talk about Samadhan doctrine. right? So when we say samadhan, even if I wouldn't have referred to it, I would have just said samadhan, your mind would have definitely gone to GS3. So it is important that you learn the language of the general study paper or whatever paper that you are writing. Otherwise, if you miss the lingo of that paper, the essence of that paper is lost. What I am saying is that, let's say, value addition jargons and this, what I was saying, you know. Again, I'll stick to, rather than confusing you with more concepts, I'll just simply stick to this. I've talked about communication. I have talked about scope of public administration. Just imagine in one of my answer in introduction most rarely, I write that communication is the blood stream of an organization. Does it sound catchy to you? Does it sound fancy to you? If yes, then believe that the examiner, the evaluator will also find it catchy. In scope of administration, just rather than writing Waldo, I write that it has a stable core, but a vacillating boundary. Just imagine the answer we were talking first one when we were talking about scope of public administration. Earlier we thought there was some limitation only to thinkers. We extended it. I showed you how we can even link GGP, public private administration, IT, everything. Then just imagine adding this line to it. Your value of your answer suddenly rises, shoots up. Amongst hundreds, 200s of the copies, your copy suddenly starts standing out. That is important. In civil service examination, the examiner is not willing to pass you. The examiner is willing to select an administrator. You have to prove that you have that vision, you have that quality, you have to serve it to them. Again, let's say case study. You write very random, boring case study, right? Mundra case deal. It's important. I'm not saying that. This is not. But let's say how we can add new case studies to it. There's one example I have been repeatedly telling because this example is very close to my heart. Let's say chief secretary. In chief secretary, what you can write is, let's say, normally you'll write case study as part of zonal council. You said that Naxalism and many other issues have been sorted out because they are providing the secretarial support to it. Done. But just imagine this answer versus in my answer where I'm writing the case study, the importance of chief secretary. That when in Odisha the transition was made from Biju Swasthya Kalyan health card to Ayushman Bharat card. So there was problem. Private sector was thinking the money will not be paid, the remuneration will stay. What chief secretary did, he said that he came out with an announcement that no, the administration is working, don't worry about it, you go on with it, whatever policy on what day it's standing, it's our responsibility that will facilitate it, will smoothen it. So this is where I'm highlighting that chief secretary is responsible, is playing a key role in the continuity of the administration. So rather than just writing boring answers, we read a news, we framed the news in my mind, and I'm using it in my public administration answer. This case study will not come as a standalone case study in any booklet. So it is important that when you are reading a news, you take that piece of news, you weave it, and if you see if it's worth making a case study, you make it and save it and you use it in your answer. So this is how we can tackle public administration. Hope I have been able to share some of the insights to you, and hopefully it will guide you, secure the marks. Wishing all the aspirants all the best. And I thank CACS again for providing me the opportunity, and I thank everyone for being such a patient audience to this small session, a strategy session on tackling public administration. Thank you so much. Namaskar. Jai Jagannath.